A strike that echoed like thunder in the Black Sea. The Iskander ballistic missile, one of the most lethal weapons in the Russian arsenal, was launched against ships in the strategic port of Odessa. The impact was devastating, with vessels heavily damaged, critical infrastructure hit, and a new chapter in the war that redefines the limits of military technology and strategy. To fight our war, Russia hit a container ship over the weekend, allegedly carrying weapons to Ukraine. The attack was on a vessel from MSC, which is the Mediterranean Shipping Company, in the port of Odessa, and also hit a ship flying the flag of Sierra Leone, with collateral damage. The ships hit are the MSC Levante F, weighing 21,000 tons, and the Super Sarka, which is operated by the Turkey-based company Thor Shipping. So, what happens? Russia claims that these ships were transporting weapons. It seems that 10 British or American mercenaries may have been killed or injured in this attack. And thus, the attack is raising several questions, because first of all, when such an attack happens, we always want to know the following. For a country like Russia to risk making a scandalous attack against 2 civilian ships, it is because they have a reasonable degree of certainty that the attack would be worth it. Because after an attack on civilian ships, protests and international implications always follow. So, Russia must have weighed the cost-benefit of what was worth it. As far as we know, it seems that these ships were transporting howitzers, the American 777, artillery cargo as well, some infantry support vehicles, and there are other sources saying they would be carrying offensive missiles. Look, it's hard to know, but from what we observe, Russia should have a well-founded suspicion that the ship's cargo was valuable to Ukraine in military terms. But the bigger question is who provided this information? Why? Because a ship like this, it follows a route shrouded in secrecy. Often, practically only the captain, the ship's commander, knows the content of the cargo. The crew is unaware. The security, they should have had security too, from what they are saying, that the mercenaries died, is unaware. In the end, nobody knows. I mean, like Russia. Or they have informants within the Kiev regime, and some say that this information was passed through American channels. Anything could have happened in this story. We will probably never know. But the port of Odessa, due to its strategic peculiarity, has been the focus of increasing attention from the Russian armed forces in recent months. There have been several attacks on Odessa port facilities, leading us to believe that Odessa is likely an important logistical hub for the Ukrainian army. Speaking of logistics, Ukraine is in a quite critical situation, even though we don't know what the future holds for U.S. aid. And another thing, if Russia proves beyond doubt that the port of Odessa has become quite unsafe for loading and unloading operations, the shipping companies serving Ukraine will think twice because insurance prices will rise. We will have a series of problems there. It is not very common for Russia to attack these civilian ships. It's not a very usual thing in this war. So I reiterate the suspicion. If they attacked, it's because they had a reasonable degree of certainty that the ship was transporting something significant. But let's take a look at the port of Odessa to identify some of its peculiarities. We have a view from marine traffic, which is a site that monitors navigation worldwide. So here we have the port of Odessa, and you notice the following. There are few ships approaching the port. The Black Sea around Crimea, along the Ukrainian coast, etc., is quite empty of ships, precisely because of the risk, right? It has become a war zone there, with Russians and Ukrainians firing shots. So, what happens? Since navigation there is not very crowded, it's not difficult for Russians or Ukrainians to find a target. If you have information that this target is carrying a load worth attacking and bearing the consequences, it ends up happening. This seems to be the situation that occurred in Odessa these days.
que parece que aconteceu em Odessa por esses dias. Bom, gente, então vocês ouviram em primeira mão aí o relato, né, desse
Well,
ataque
folks, you heard firsthand about this devastating attack by Russia on foreign ships at the port of Odessa. Facilities were also hit, and the Russians likely tried to obliterate the Ukrainians' loading and unloading capacity at this port. So, if you've watched up to now, leave your like. The war is going to intensify, and if there's a peace agreement, your opinion is very important. I'll also leave you with our trailer, our jingle, the video about Russia's wars, which is available at the War Art Channel's course school. It's worth checking out these courses because they will expand your cognitive capacity. And subscribe to our channel, comment, share, give your like, okay? If you want to help with the super sticker, super chat, or pics, it's here in the video description. We'll be back shortly, always with responsibility and commitment. All right, folks? See you later.
Responsabilidade e compromisso. Tá no Brasil, pessoal. Até mais. Bom, gente, na nossa lista de desejos que se encontra aqui na descrição do...
Well, folks, in our wish list found in the video description, you'll find many books about the war in Ukraine. And I remind you of the following. Books delivered by Amazon's delivery system arrive quite quickly. But if you're from the generation that prefers a Kindle book, you can download it instantly. The prices are very good, the topics are quite up to date, and they will give you a very clear picture of what's happening in the war in Ukraine. And I remind you that every time you buy books and other items on Amazon, you are supporting the Arte da Guerra channel.
Na Amazon, vocês estão ajudando o canal Arte da Guerra.